What's got you trippin', human? Is it the vibe between my legs? The Perseid meteor shower was supposed to peak tonight, but Liam Harrington hadn't expected to witness an actual crash. He stood frozen beside his telescope, watching the object, too, controlled in its descent to be a meteor, touched down in the meadow half a mile from his mountain cabin observatory. "That's not standard astronomical behavior," he muttered, grabbing his field pack and flashlight. At 32, Liam had abandoned his prestigious university position for this solitary outpost in the Colorado mountains. Colleagues called it career suicide. He called it sanity. Out here with only the stars for company, the crushing anxiety that had plagued him in academia had finally begun to subside. The night air carried the scent of pine and something else, something sharp and electric that made the hair on his arms stand up. As he approached the landing site, he killed his flashlight. The craft itself provided all the illumination necessary, a softly glowing teardrop shape approximately 15 feet long. It had landed surprisingly gently, barely disturbing the wildflowers surrounding it. Liam approached cautiously, his heartbeat thundering in his ears. Years of scientific training hadn't prepared him for this moment. The surface of the craft rippled, like mercury, and as he watched, a section melted away, forming an opening. The figure that emerged made him question his sanity. She, and it was undeniably a she, stood about 5'6" with a lithe, athletic build. Her skin was a pale blue that seemed to shimmer with an inner luminescence, like moonlight on water. Her features were delicate and almost human, save for the slight upward tilt of her eyes, which were a deep indigo with no visible pupils. Instead of hair, she had what appeared to be tendrils that moved gently, as if suspended in water, colored in gradients of blue and silver. She wore a close-fitting jumpsuit made of a material that seemed to shift between solid and liquid, clinging to her form while maintaining a modest coverage. Around her wrists and neck were bands of a metallic substance that glowed with pulsing light. The alien tilted her head, studying him with those unsettling eyes, and Liam realized he'd been staring far too long. I'm Liam," he managed, placing a hand on his chest. "Human from Earth, which is where you are now." He winced at his own awkwardness. The alien's lips curved into what might have been a smile. She touched her own chest. "Naira," she said, her voice melodic and clear, though with an unusual resonance. "Sentinel of the Luminar Collective." Liam blinked. "You speak English?" "I speak nothing," she replied. Her mouth moved in sync with the words, but there was something off about it. "I am interpreting your neural patterns and responding in kind. Your mind receives my meaning." "Telepathy," Liam breathed. "Fascinating." "Rudimentary telepathy," she corrected, taking a step forward and then staggering slightly. Without thinking, Liam rushed forward to steady her, his hands grasping her arms. The moment they touched, a jolt of energy passed between them. Not painful, but intense, like the static shock of walking across carpet multiplied 100-fold. Her skin felt cool and strangely textured beneath his fingers. "Are you hurt?" he asked, reluctantly releasing her once she seemed stable. "Not injured, but disoriented. My vessel's navigation systems failed during transit through your atmosphere." She gestured at the craft. "I require time to recalibrate and make repairs." "I have a cabin nearby," Liam offered, "with tools, food, shelter." Neera's tendrils rippled, a reaction to emotion perhaps. "Your assistance is unexpected. My briefing indicated humans are typically fearful of the unknown." Liam laughed softly. "I'm an astronomer. The unknown is literally my job description." "A star watcher," she said, nodding. "Appropriate." She studied his face with those pupilless eyes. "Your neural patterns are intriguing, most complex." "Thanks, I think." Liam rubbed the back of his neck. "Can you walk?" "It's not far." "I can manage." She took a step, then paused. "My ship?" "No. One comes up here but me," Liam assured her. "It should be safe until morning." As they walked through the moonlit forest, Liam found himself stealing glances at his companion. The shimmering quality of her skin seemed to intensify in the darkness, casting a faint blue glow on the surrounding vegetation. "Your curiosity is understandable," Naira said suddenly, causing Liam to jump. But your mind broadcasts very loudly. Heat rushed to Liam's face. Sorry, I didn't realize you could... It is not intentional intrusion, she explained. Your species projects thoughts with remarkable intensity. I can shield myself, but it requires effort. I'll try to think. Quieter, Liam offered lamely. The corner of Naira's mouth twitched. An amusing concept. After a moment, she added, You find my appearance strange. Different, Liam corrected, but not in a bad way. Actually, you're... He trailed off, embarrassed. The translation fails, Naira said, her head tilting, but the sentiment is appreciated. They reached the cabin, a modest A-frame with large windows designed for stargazing. Liam fumbled with the keys, suddenly conscious of the mess inside. Books stacked everywhere, coffee mugs on every surface, equipment scattered around his workstation. Home, he said simply, pushing the door open. Naira stepped inside, her eyes widening as she took in the telescope positioned by the large bay window, the star charts covering one wall, and the bookshelves overflowing with texts on astronomy and physics. You truly are devoted to the stars, she observed. They're better company than most people, Liam replied, moving to clear some books from the couch. Please sit. Are you hungry? Thirsty? Do you eat or drink? I'm realizing I have no idea what to offer an interstellar visitor. Naira lowered herself gracefully onto the couch. I can process your sustenance, though my needs are different. Water would be welcome. As Liam filled a glass, he noticed her examining a framed photo on the side table, him receiving an award, surrounded by colleagues, looking uncomfortable. In a suit. You were not always isolated, she noted when he returned with the water. No. Liam handed her the glass. I was part of a research team at Berkeley. We were doing groundbreaking work on exoplanet atmospheres. Yet you left. It wasn't a question. Liam sank into the armchair across from her. Academia wasn't for me. Too many politics, too many egos. Out here it's just me and the universe. Solitude has a price, Naira said quietly, sipping the water cautiously. Says the woman who travels between stars alone. Her tendrils rippled. Again. A fair observation. For a moment they sat in surprisingly comfortable silence. Then Naira set down her glass and fixed those deep indigo eyes on him. Tomorrow I must assess the damage to my vessel, she said. Will you assist me? Of course, Liam nodded, though I'm not sure how much help I'll be with alien technology. Your perception may reveal aspects I overlook, she paused. And I find your neural patterns comforting despite their loudness. Liam smiled, feeling an unexpected warmth spread through his chest. High praise from a telepathic space traveler. Rest now, Naira said, rising. Your mind shows fatigue. Where? Will you sleep? Liam asked, suddenly realizing the problem. My species requires minimal rest periods. I will observe your stars through your instruments, if permitted. Be my guest. Liam gestured to the telescope. Though I should warn you, it's nothing compared to what you're used to. Sometimes, Naira said, moving toward the window, her silhouette outlined against the night sky. Viewing wonders through simpler lenses reveals truths the most advanced technology misses. As Liam prepared for bed, he heard the soft sounds of Naira adjusting the telescope. The most extraordinary being he'd ever encountered was stargazing in his living room, and somehow it felt perfectly natural. Tomorrow would bring complications, questions, and the challenge of repairing advanced alien technology. But tonight, watching her silhouette against the stars, Liam felt a sense of rightness he hadn't experienced in years. The universe, it seemed, had finally answered his search for connection. Liam woke to the smell of coffee, which was strange considering he lived alone and hadn't programmed his coffee maker. For a moment, he stared at the ceiling, wondering if the previous night had been an elaborate dream, born from too many late nights observing the Perseid shower. Then he heard a soft humming from his kitchen, a melody unlike any he'd ever heard, with notes that seemed to slide between traditional musical scales. Naira was real. An actual alien was in his kitchen. He found her examining his coffee maker with fascination, her tendrils swaying gently as she observed the dripping liquid, The chemical composition is fascinating, she said without turning around. Stimulant, yet ritualistic in your culture. Good morning to you too, Liam said, running a hand through his bedhead. Did you sleep at all? I entered a restorative trance for approximately 2 hours, Naira replied, finally turning to face him. In the morning light streaming through the windows, her blue skin had more subtle variations than he'd noticed in the darkness. Swirls of deeper azure around her wrists and neck, fading to an almost silvery pale blue at her fingertips. You made coffee, he observed unnecessarily. I observed the process in your memories, she explained, then added quickly, only surface memories related to morning routines. I would not intrude deeper without permission. Liam wasn't sure if he should be disturbed or impressed. That's considerate, I guess. She handed him a mug, which he accepted cautiously. Did you add anything to it? Only what your memory indicated, the white, cold substance. Milk, Liam clarified, taking a tentative sip. It was perfect. Thank you. Naira nodded, her head tilting, slightly as she studied his reaction. Your appearance is different in the daylight hours. Self-consciously, Liam ran a hand through his unruly dark hair. Less professional, I know. More authentic, she countered. Last night your mind was guarded. Today it resonates more clearly. Liam wasn't sure how to respond to that. We should check on your ship after breakfast. Vessel, Naira corrected. And yes, assessment is priority. While Liam ate a quick breakfast of toast and eggs, Naira explored his living room, examining his books and equipment with careful hands. She seemed particularly interested in his star charts. Your species maps with remarkable accuracy, given your technological limitations, she observed. We do our best with what we've got, Liam replied, washing down his last bite with coffee. Ready? The morning was clear and cool as they hiked back to the meadow. Naira moved with surprising grace over the uneven terrain, her footsteps nearly silent. When they crested the final hill, the teardrop-shaped craft sat exactly where they'd left it, though in daylight it appeared more iridescent than silver, reflecting the blue sky and green trees around it. It's beautiful, Liam said as they approached. Functional, Naira corrected, though her tendrils rippled in what he was beginning to recognize as pleasure. But yes, the luminar value harmony of form. She placed her palm against the smooth surface, and a portion liquefied, creating an entrance. Liam followed her inside, ducking his head through the opening. The interior was surprisingly spacious, with curved walls that seemed to flow into control surfaces. No sharp angles or obvious technology, just swirling patterns of light and what appeared to be liquid crystal displays. This is the navigation chamber, Naira explained, moving to a central console that illuminated at her approach. The dimensional transference drive is intact, but the guidance system suffered damage entering your atmosphere. Dimensional transference? Liam echoed. Not faster than light travel? Naira's expression suggested she found his question quaint. Your physics models are foundational but incomplete. We do not exceed light speed. We traverse dimensional folds. She placed both hands on the console, and the lights pulsed in rhythm with her touch. Symbols Liam couldn't begin to decipher flowed across the surfaces. The primary resonance array is misaligned, she murmured, and the telepathic interface is damaged. Telepathic interface? Liam moved closer, fascinated despite his limited understanding. My species navigates through mental connection to our vessels, she explained. Your planet's electromagnetic field has unique properties that disrupted the bond. Her tendrils suddenly flattened against her head, a sign of distress. What's wrong? Liam asked. The communications matrix is completely non-functional, she said, her voice tightening. I cannot signal the collective. Can it be repaired? Naira's fingers danced over the console. Possibly. The core elements are intact, but I lack certain materials for reconstruction. What kind of materials? Conductive compounds with psychoreactive properties. She turned to him. Does your planet possess rare earth elements, specifically lanthanides? Liam thought for a moment. We do. They're used in electronics, especially communications technology. I might be able to get some, but it Would take time. Time, Naira repeated as if testing the word. How is this measured in your world? Days, weeks, Liam said. How long can you stay? Her tendrils rippled again. My life support systems are self-sustaining. The concern is not survival, but purpose. I was meant to observe your world briefly. Then return with data. You're a scientist? Liam asked, surprised. A sentinel, she corrected. We gather information on developing worlds. Your planet has reached a critical technological threshold that merited closer study. Liam felt a chill. That had nothing to do with the temperature. Study for what purpose? Naira seemed to sense his discomfort. Not invasion, if that concerns you. The collective is curious, not conquering. She hesitated. Your species has remarkable potential, but also concerning tendencies toward self-destruction. Fair assessment, Liam admitted. So you're essentially an anthropologist? The parallel is reasonable, she agreed, though our methods differ significantly. Liam glanced around the ship again. I have some contacts who might be able to source the materials you need. Former colleagues. In the meantime, you're welcome to stay at my cabin. Your hospitality is appreciated, Naira said, her indigo eyes fixing on his face. And unexpected. Most species exhibit fear when encountering the unknown. Oh, I'm terrified, Liam said with a small smile, but also fascinated. Professional hazard of being a scientist. As they exited the vessel, which sealed itself behind them, Liam asked the question that had been bothering him since her arrival. If you're here to study us, why did you let me see you? Why not observe from orbit or something? Naira was quiet for several steps before answering. The crash was unplanned, but the collective's protocols allow for limited contact if circumstances demand it. She paused. And I sensed something in your mind. A resonance frequency uncommon among your species. A capacity for understanding beyond conventional boundaries. So, I'm part of your research now? Liam wasn't sure how he felt about that. All experiences inform our understanding, she replied diplomatically. But your assistance transcends study parameters. It is personal. Back at the cabin, Liam made some calls to former colleagues, carefully framing his requests as components. For a personal research project, most were skeptical. He'd become something of a recluse since leaving academia, but one agreed to help. Joanna will ship what we need, he told Naira after hanging up. Should arrive in about a week. A week, Naira repeated. 7 rotations of your planet. That's right. Liam hesitated. In the meantime, maybe you could tell me more about your world. Fair exchange for letting you study ours. Naira's tendrils rippled with what Liam now recognized as amusement. A scientist to the core. Very well. As afternoon turned to evening, they sat on Liam's porch overlooking the mountains. Naira described a world with 3 moons and rings like Saturn, where the dominant species had evolved from aquatic ancestors. The Luminar Collective spanned multiple star systems, united not by conquest, but by shared knowledge and mental connection. Your mind would find it overwhelming, she said. Billions of thoughts in harmony, yet each distinct. Sounds beautiful, Liam said, and a little terrifying. Much like your isolation, Naira observed. Beautiful, yet tinged with melancholy. Liam looked away, uncomfortable with her perception. Why did you really leave your people to come here alone? Naira was silent for a long moment. Among my kind, I am discordant. My thought patterns do not align perfectly with the collective. I perceive differently, question differently. You're an outsider, Liam realized. Like me. Perhaps that explains the resonance between our minds, she said quietly. As the sun set behind the mountains, casting the sky in deepening shades of purple and orange, Liam found himself studying her profile. In this light, with the sunset reflecting, off her blue skin, she looked almost human, yet beautifully, fascinatingly other. She turned, catching him staring, and something passed between them, a moment of recognition that transcended species and origin. Your mind is very loud right now, Naira said softly. Liam swallowed. Sorry. Do not apologize, she replied. The frequency is, harmonious. That night, as Liam prepared for bed, He found Naira by the telescope again, but she wasn't looking. Through it, instead she stood by the window, her form silhouetted against the night sky. "Everything okay?" he asked. "I was locating my home system," she said, pointing to a faint star barely visible to the naked eye. "It is there, though your eyes cannot resolve it clearly." "How far?" "In your measurements, approximately 63 light-years." The distance was staggering. "You're a long way from home." "Yes," she agreed, "yet distance is relative." She turned to face him, her indigo eyes reflecting starlight. "In some ways I feel more aligned here than among my own kind. That's the problem with being different," Liam said. "You never quite fit anywhere." "Perhaps," Naira said, her tendrils moving gently in the still air of the cabin. "We fit precisely where we are meant to be." As Liam drifted to sleep that night, he found himself wondering about cosmic coincidences and the improbability of her crash landing near the home of perhaps the one human who wouldn't immediately call the authorities. What were the odds unless, a small voice in his mind whispered, it wasn't coincidence at all. 5 days into Naira's stay, Liam realized they had fallen into a surprisingly comfortable routine. Mornings began with coffee, which she'd started drinking, claiming interest in cultural immersion, and breakfast, which she sampled cautiously, her biology processing Earth food differently. Afternoons were spent working on calculations for her vessel's repairs or exploring the surrounding wilderness, which Naira found endlessly fascinating. Today they were hiking to a nearby lake that offered the clearest views of the night sky for miles around. Liam had suggested camping overnight to observe a minor meteor shower, and Naira had agreed with what he now recognized as her version of enthusiasm, a rapid rippling of her tendrils and a brightening of the luminescence in her skin. "Your planet's diversity of ecosystems is remarkable," Naira commented, as they followed the narrow trail through a pine forest. She paused to examine a wildflower, crouching gracefully. "So many discrete life forms, yet interconnected in complex webs. That's what makes Earth special," Liam replied, adjusting his backpack. "The biodiversity, though we haven't been great stewards of it." Naira straightened, fixing him with those indigo eyes. "Your species possesses unusual self-awareness about your destructive capacities, yet continues the behaviors." "Cognitive dissonance," Liam shrugged. "One of humanity's specialties." They continued in companionable silence, Naira occasionally stopping to document plants or insects with a small device she carried. She'd explained it was a standard tool for sentinels, capturing not just images but complete biological data. "What will happen with all that information?" Liam had asked when she first showed it to him. "It joins the collective's knowledge database," she'd explained. "We observe thousands of developing worlds. And then what? We monitor, we learn. Occasionally we intervene, but only in cases of imminent extinction-level events." Now as they reached the crest of a hill overlooking the sapphire-blue mountain lake, Liam found himself wondering if Earth had ever been the recipient of such intervention. "This location is ideal," Naira said, surveying the clearing beside the lake. "Minimal light pollution, clear atmospheric conditions. It's also beautiful," Liam added, taking in the view. Naira's tendrils rippled. "Beauty is a concept my people understand differently. We perceive harmony of function more than aesthetic pleasure." She paused, studying the landscape. "But I am beginning to comprehend your definition." As Liam set up their small tent, Naira arranged the specialized telescope he'd brought, an older model, but still powerful enough for serious observation. Her dexterous fingers worked with surprising familiarity. "You've adapted quickly to our technology," he noted. "Your devices follow logical principles," she replied, "primitive but elegant in their simplicity." Liam laughed. "I'll take that as a compliment." By the time evening approached, they had established a comfortable camp. Liam built a small fire, while Naira calibrated the telescope for the night's observations. "The components your colleague is sending," she said as they sat beside the fire. "They should arrive tomorrow?" "That's what Joanna said," Liam confirmed. "Then we can start repairs on your ship." "Vessel," Naira corrected automatically, then added, "Though ship is not inaccurate." A comfortable silence fell between them. In the firelight, Naira's blue skin took on a warm purple hue, and her tendrils moved more languidly than usual. Liam had come to recognize this as her relaxed state. "May I ask a personal query?" she said suddenly. "Sure. Why did you truly leave your academic position? Your mind shows great conflict when you reference it." Liam poked at the fire with a stick, watching sparks rise into the darkening sky. He'd known this question would come eventually. Naira was too observant to miss the inconsistencies in his explanation. "I had a breakdown," he said finally, "a very public one during a lecture on exoplanet habitability. Started talking about the mathematical improbability of us being alone in the universe, the arrogance of humanity, thinking we're special." He smiled wryly. "Ironic, considering current company." "Your conclusions were correct," Naira pointed out. "Yeah, but my delivery needed work. I threw a marker at a student who suggested advanced civilizations would have contacted us by now if they existed." Liam winced at the memory. "Called him a narrow-minded product of anthropocentric delusion." "An accurate assessment," Naira said. "Completely serious." Liam laughed despite himself. "Maybe, but universities frown on throwing things at tuition-paying students." He sighed. "After that, the panic attacks started. Couldn't stand in front of a class without feeling like I was suffocating. So I left. To breathe," Naira said softly. "Exactly." Liam looked up at her, surprised by her understanding. "Among my people, mental distress is treated as seriously as physical injury," she said. "The collective supports those experiencing disharmony." "Sounds better than our approach," Liam said. "Here you're just labeled unstable and marginalized. Your isolation was self-prescribed healing," Naira observed. "Yet loneliness has its own toxicity." Before Liam could respond, a sharp electronic tone sounded from inside the tent. His satellite phone, the emergency one he kept for rare communications. "Excuse me," he said, ducking into the tent. The caller ID showed Joanna's number. Strange, she never called unless absolutely necessary. "Joanna? What's up?" Her voice came through, tense and rushed. "Liam, what the hell kind of project are you working on?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, the FBI came to my lab today asking about the components I sourced for you. Specialized lanthanides with unusual configuration. They're flagged for potential weapons development." Liam's blood ran cold. "Joanna, Save it," she cut him off. "I covered for you. Told them you were working on advanced satellite communication. But they're coming your way, Liam. Whatever you're doing, clean it up, fast." The call disconnected. Liam sat frozen for a moment before scrambling out of the tent. "We have a problem," he told Naira, who was already standing, her tendrils flat. Against her head, she'd sensed his distress. "Your government authorities have detected anomalies," she stated. It wasn't a question. "They're coming here," Liam confirmed, already starting to pack up their equipment. "We need to get back to the cabin, then figure out our next move." Naira helped him dismantle the camp with efficient movements. "My vessel's energy signature would have been detected during entry. I should have anticipated this response." "How much time do we have?" "Unknown." "But my presence cannot be discovered," Naira said, her voice taking on a new urgency. "Contact protocols are explicit. Wider exposure risks contamination of natural development patterns. In other words, you'd be in trouble with your bosses." Liam translated, stuffing the tent into its bag without bothering to fold it properly. "And your world would face increased scrutiny," she added. "Possibly restrictions on future development." The hike back to the cabin was tense and rushed, conducted mostly in darkness, with only moonlight to guide them. Liam stumbled several times on the uneven path, but Naira moved with sure-footed grace, occasionally steadying him with a cool hand on his arm. When they finally reached the cabin, Liam immediately began gathering essential supplies: food, water, his laptop, basic tools. "We need to relocate your ship," he said, stuffing items into a duffel bag. "Move it somewhere less exposed." "The vessel cannot be relocated without repairs," Naira replied, watching him with an unreadable expression. "Its stabilization systems are compromised." Liam paused. "Then we need to hide it somehow, camouflage it." "That may be possible," she conceded. "The outer shell can adapt to surroundings if properly programmed." A new thought struck Liam. Wait, they'll be looking for both of us. We should split up. No. Naira's response was immediate and firm. Separation increases risk. But if they find you, they will not, she interrupted, her indigo eyes locked with his. Trust me, Liam. Something in her gaze made him pause. Since her arrival, there had been moments when he'd caught glimpses of abilities she hadn't explicitly mentioned, how she seemed to know which trail to take in the dark, how animals responded to her presence, how plants seemed to lean toward her as she passed. What aren't you telling me about your capabilities? He asked directly. Naira's tendrils rippled slowly. Sentinels possess certain adaptive traits for field research. Limited biophasic manipulation is one. Meaning?